He'll slam right hands to the body as a lead. Poke that jab to the body. But now out of range, not pulling the trigger, and Duluth sort of walking his way in. Stark controlling distance, takes that step back, restarts. See that little hook rather than a jab. There's the straight right hand, and now Stark trying to load up. But he really keeps moving, doesn't he, Steve?
He does. And when you think about where Gary Stark is, and on my card, he seems to be en route to a decision win here. You know, when you have to suffer a knockout like he did, you don't come back in one fight. You don't come back in 1 year sometimes. His promotional stablemate, J. Don Codrington, found that out.
Jeez,
Edgar Santana, another Broadway boxing favorite.
Some guys never come back.
Yeah, it's not easy. And you really have to be mentally strong, and it takes a while. I mean, fighters are confident and cocky, but deep down inside, they're so emotionally vulnerable because of how naked they are in the ring.
Yeah, and Gary Stark is the first to admit it. He absolutely is. He questioned himself.
He's a great kid. He really is. And he's a sensitive kid. That's not always good boxing.
Yeah, well, the sensitivity was the shame and such as well, but the self-doubt is something that he's got to overcome. Do I still have? What took me as far as it took me?
Well, his dad
that was
said
a careless mistake, Steve.
Yeah.
Dropped his hands.
Well,
and
he was
got
controlling.
caught.
Right, he was controlling the fight. He had knocked down the dozen.
His dad said what?
His dad said that the fight after this will be a tough one. You know, much tougher than this one against the 10-8 fighter, because Gary Stark's 27. Remember, the younger the fighter, the younger the prime. And 27 is not that young for junior featherweight.
Absolutely not. Good right hand to the body by Stark.
Stark's able to mix it up much better than Duluth.
Oh yeah,
except the attack.
He really likes that left hook there as a lead shot, as a lead punch. There it is again, and then a follow-up right. So left, right, nothing wrong with that. There's the jab, but Duluth wisely jabbed with him one of the few times.
Same problem for Duluth, just not busy enough.
Yeah.
Stark is starting to win each round by a little bit more than he won the round before.
Good point, good observation. Stark not wasting any motion, any energy, any punches. Flurrying before the bell each time, though, you notice.
I'll tee up this round. I'll keep it up. Where's the fucking knife? How do you feel?
See action from round 6. Duluth was real quiet in this round. Gary Stark giving carte blanche to punch as he chose. Placed his punches well, left hook, right hand right there. Again, he's not the biggest puncher, but one thing about Gary Stark, he's textbook in that he always throws in combination. You never see one shot at a time.
Come on, baby. Come on, let's go.
Steve, this guy, Robert Duluth, has a boatload of courage. There's no doubt about it. But when he told me yesterday that he wants to make this a war of attrition, those were simply words. He's not doing it.
Not at all. Yeah.
Stark controlling every round, controlling every minute of this fight for the most part. He did get hit early, some right hands, but Stark wisely boxing. Just controlling the action.
And I think good matchmaking by Joe Chiambo, Lou DiBella's matchmaker, because Gary Stark, after the knockout loss to Bill Desmond, came back against the fighter who was 11-22, but who went the distance with him. That enabled Stark to get some of the confidence back. Same thing, a little bit tougher opponent this time. And again, Stark looking like he's likely to go the distance, but that's good.
And
given where he's at emotionally, I think that's good.
I also think taking him out of New York's not the worst thing in the world.
Very good point, yeah.
A lot of pressure on him to perform. Oh, bangs that right hand. Heard it here ringside, but Bobby Deleuze is going nowhere. He could take a shot. Nice left hand from Deleuze. Not much behind it, though. Now Stark trying to close the gap instead of walking in. Deleuze moving more than punching. He's not going to win around that way, let alone the fight.
No, he's going to have to do what Ledesma did. He's going to have to score a knockout against Gary Stark if he wants to win this fight.
Steve, you know, he's a tough man type of guy, and literally a tough man over 300. But you get the feeling, don't you, that Starks felt his best shots and said he really can't hurt me. But again, that said, he didn't think Ledesma could hurt him going in. So the perfect kind of shot could do lethal type of damage.
Which brings up the question. I'd like to hear what you have to say about this, because I don't know if I know the answer. Is there such a thing in boxing as a lucky punch?
Well, there's a perfect punch sometimes, yeah, that nobody sees coming. And you can't always have your hands up, right? You've got to leave yourself vulnerable. It's boxing. Who doesn't get hit in a fight?
Sure. Because in his mind, Gary Stark has to view that Ledesma knockout right hand as a lucky punch.
Yeah.
For his own emotional protection. You think of
We'd have to ask Ledesma, does he think that was lucky?
Yeah, you know Ledesma's going to say, I drew it up that way.
Yeah, right.
You think of
Rahman Mosca, yeah.
And no, Rahman and Lennox Lewis.
Lennox Lewis, right, the perfect right hand.
Come on, listen to me. Listen to me. You have him so many times. Listen.
You gotta hurt him. Okay, now's the time.
Let's go. We'll shake hands.
Right now.
Go. Let's win. Hands up. You got it like a 2-minute drill. All right. Roll. Start 2-minute drill. Give him some face. Don't just throw the jab. Pinpoint the jab.
Nick Charles, Steve Farhood, ringside here in Hollywood, Florida. The Seminole Hard Rock Live Arena. Happy you could join us on Broadway Boxing. Brooklyn's Gary Stark on the comeback trail. He's lost twice this year. The last time in devastating fashion on Broadway Boxing. Knocked cold, as Steve mentioned, and there's that combination. That's a knockdown, and that's what Gary Stark needed, Steve.
6, 7, 8, right? Let's go.
Stark's dad screaming to Gary, take your time.
Well, there's a lot of time in this round, and certainly Deleuze doesn't look like he had his world rocked.
No, not at all.
Nice right hand, though, from Stark. So Stark, measured aggression, very good, not overly cautious, stringing shots together, chasing down Ledesma, or I should say Deleuze. Deleuze not punching at all now. Got a little bit of the fight taken out of him.